Things have gotten bad enough with the homelessness situation in San Diego that even Bill Walton is calling out the San Diego mayor for the homelessness crisis, saying he was recently assaulted. That's not good. Big Red assaulted in his hometown, and he's been there for 40-something years. What's the deal? Let's check it out. So Bill Walton says he doesn't believe San Diego is safe. Yeah. I've heard about the homelessness crisis in San Diego for, many years now. Because if you're going to be homeless somewhere, a little hot in the summer, but what a moderate climate, and everybody else in like Chicago and New York is hunkered down, trying to stay warm during all those months during the winter. San Diego, 70 degrees, go to the beach, good times. It's a moderate climate when it is in San Diego. When it's hot, man, it is hot, but big homeless population there. Bill Walton, what's the deal here? San Diego saw a record high of 1,609 homeless people in the downtown area alone earlier this month, and Bill Walton has had enough. 1,609 people in the downtown area. That does seem like a lot. San Diego's downtown isn't huge. The NBA legend has sent a number of emails to Mayor 𝐏𝐞𝐨𝐬𝐥𝐿 about the crisis and how he has failed. Now Walton is making his complaints public. I love Bill Walton. And I know. All right. So he was that wearing the headband and the hippie and smoking some weed, maybe taking acid and, listening to the Grateful Dead. Those are all those things to everybody, God. Microphone's just falling apart here. What the I reach up to touch my microphone and it just peels apart. What in the hell is that all about? Oh, here's the other nut. Oh, there's the big screw. All right, we're gonna. Oh, God darn it. All right, just knock another one off. Okay, so I'm gonna put that one back on. I'm going to rebuild this microphone right during the show. All right, here we go. Yeah, just going to roll. That's what you do. You make adjustments on the fly. Got to get like 3 washers. Can't see. It's all dark. Yeah.
6 hours later.
Okay. All right. We are back up and running. Bill Walton. I mean, he won the NBA championship in 1977, I think, right before the Sonics did. Sonics lost one year, 77-78 to the Washington Bullets. Yeah, that's not a politically correct name now. And then they won the next year. So I was, watching stuff down in Portland and Seattle on the world stage of the NBA. That was wild stuff. It's like, Seattle hadn't had a team for that many years, and Portland is just down there doing its Portland thing. And all of a sudden you got Bill Walton and they win a championship. You're like, what? What happened here? Bill Walton's always been outspoken. He's, a great commentator, and he was an amazing player. I had to watch some footage of Bill Walton right before this podcast, just because, I like to watch that old stuff from the 70s when I was a kid, because I would have been like 10 years old when Bill Walton was in his heyday, and, it was just epic. But, the thing that, strikes me about Bill Walton is he just, he was fundamentally sound, super fundamentally sound. Got to think some of that's that John Wooden work ethic and just how we do things. We're going to do it this way, this way, this way. You wonder how that worked out with Walton smoking weed and, listen to the Dead and all that. Not really sure. According to the Voice of San Diego, Walton emailed Mayor 𝐏𝐿𝐬𝐿 as early as August 28th about his failures while explaining that he had recently been assaulted by the homeless while riding his bicycle. Big bike rider too, right? Guy's tall, 6'11", red hair. Kid played in the NBA. Yeah, he's a storied character, right? He's a storied character. You have failed us and yourself. An email reported from Bill Walton to the mayor. Does anybody care when a celebrity sends something out? I don't know. I do here on this one because I actually had conversation. Somebody made a comment about Bill Walton regarding Portland, because let's be honest, Bill Walton is still probably the most famous person. And he didn't even really live in Portland. Like, that's not really his thing. That's just the team that he played for. And he's arguably the most, famous person in Portland there might be a newcomer. He might have been supplanted by Mayor Ted, but that's an infamous, not famous type, thing that we're going to give him. Mayor Ted, you are setting records. Once again, while peacefully riding my bike earlier this Sunday morning in Balboa Park, I was threatened, chased, and assaulted by the homeless population in our park. Walton wrote on August 28th, this is just normal. This is normal stuff. You've got an insane amount of people that are insane, taking drugs in the parks, living in the parks, these West Coast cities, and people wonder, how did we get here? Well, we did, right? I mean, San Diego's got the exact same thing that any other city that allows homelessness just to sprout up. And during the pandemic, it got, out of control. And each city is trying to reel it back in. So Walton is calling out his city officials. Walton is the official spokesperson, unofficial spokesperson of San Diego. Not because he's arguably the most famous resident in the area, but because he's lived in the same San Diego neighborhood for 43 years. So when this guy comes out, he's like, that guy has to vote Democrat, doesn't he? Doesn't he have to vote Democrat? I believe he does, just on principle. 69-year-old has never spoken one bad thing about the city until now. Interesting. So I talk a lot about Portland, people getting to that level of, all right, I've been quiet this whole time. I've been tolerant. I've been inclusive of all of this BS, but now I have reached the tippy top of my ability to deal with this nonsense. Now I'm going to start saying stuff. I think that's where people are at. Bill Walton, 43 years, basically a lifelong resident. I mean, he would have gone there after his, he's 69, so that is 26. So was that probably right after his Portland run, right? I believe somewhere right in there, he would have set up permanent residence in San Diego. He's been there for that many years. And now he's like, you know what? Enough is enough. Hey, some crazy homeless guy chased me in the park. That is not uncommon. That is, you read the stories, the stories that I cover here, and people are like, Sean, why do you cover that stuff? Well, because it's going on out there and it's simply not reasonable. That's a lot of why I do this. This stuff is not reasonable and it's going on massive scale. And, up until now, people have been like, it's okay. The homeless got to stay somewhere too. Yeah, but these aren't just homeless. They are crazy and they're on drugs and they're doing crazy stuff in the parks. Don't get me started on the whole park thing. Hey, let's take little Johnny and Susie to the park and we'll play on the swing set and we'll do the merry-go-round and it'll all be good. Yeah, not really. That's not what's happening, right? In cities that have allowed their homeless populations to just explode. It'll all work out. It'll all be good until it's not. And it's not in Bill Walton's park right now, right? On the one hand, Walton's emails and complaints fell on deaf ears. Somebody spelled deaf, D-E-F. Should have an A in there, folks. Deaf. That's like Def Leppard, right? Yeah. Pyromania was an epic album, by the way. Came out when I was in 8th grade. Good stuff. They just had a stadium tour with Motley Crue and Poison and Joan Jett. Didn't go to it, but I'm sure it was great. So his complaints fall on deaf ears, given that he's rich and famous. People don't listen to him, or do they? We're listening to him right now. I want to hear what he has to say. Walton also aligns politically with Mayor Gloria, a Democrat, there we go, who has served as San Diego mayor since 2020. On the other hand, one of the richest and most famous people in San Diego, calling out the mayor he agrees with politically, drives home the fact that Walton is just another resident, one that wants to see a change in his beloved city. So that's what you've got going on. You've got somebody who's just like, all right, I've lived here forever. I moved here because it's epic. And San Diego, what a cool town. Just lots to do. It's kind of got a little bit of that small town home flair. You got the beach, you got the weather, you're close to Mexico, going to Tijuana if that's your thing. You got a lot to do there. And now Bill Walton is saying, they chased me on my bicycle. I'm 6'9", I'm 69 years old, and they're chasing me on my bicycle. He's probably scared. as I get scared if you have any interaction with those folks. I had a live stream a little while back in downtown Seattle. I was literally covering a cleanup of a park, a big park that it was pretty controversial. I don't really want to go there during the cleanup because, you could get killed. But I was there after, and one of the denizens of, the sidewalks of Seattle was just doing some crazy stuff. He ended up, jumping down onto his feet and shooting up whatever it was, fentanyl into one of his toes. And I was right there, and I'm like, oh, this is an epic start to my live stream. But that's what you deal with. You go to these areas, you go to parks, homeless, camped out, got big congregations. Some people want to say they're okay, just let them be. Well, no, they might chase you through the park and they might hurt you. It's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. So given that as many emails have done nothing, Walton took to Instagram to voice his complaints. Oh, doing it for the Insta. Bill, you've upgraded. You're on the Insta. Yeah, a lot of sports stuff, a lot of public figures. If you post stuff on Instagram because you're famous, because you could, dunk back in the late 70s with impunity because you're 6'11" and you had 18-foot long arms. I mean, he was impressive. Anytime the ball would go up and come down for a rebound, if Walton was even remotely close to being in the key, he would end up with that ball. Just had that footwork, and he was a great player to watch. And seeing the rest of his career was just kind of sad because he was always hurt and he just could never really play the way he did. But man, when that guy played, he was on fire. You can't deny it. And the fact that people still remember that in the comments about Portland videos on my channel, I find that entertaining because Bill Walton is a piece of Portland history, won an NBA championship there, but now he's down in San Diego making his complaints public. That's our next section here. So sadly, here is his Instagram post. I think he did it, not even a story. I don't even think it was a story. I think it was a straight up post. Oh, Bill Walton going in hard on Insta. Sadly, and with a broken heart, I can no longer say that my hometown of San Diego is the greatest place in the world. All right. Well, that's aggressive. I mean, I would say top 10 cities in the U.S., but greatest place in the world. I can no longer say safe, healthy, clean, and beautiful place. Bill Walton lived there 43 years. He is basically coming out and saying, yeah, not so much. Not so much. I can no longer urge my family, friends, tourists, and businesses to come to San Diego to live, work, and play. That's a mighty big statement from a guy who has basically staked his entire life in San Diego since I was watching him on TV when I was 10, right? I mean, literally, I'm 53. There's the math, right? He's been there a resident 43 years. I can no longer say that our neighborhood for the last 43 years is still my dream. I'm brokenhearted. Mayor at Todd Gloria, clean up our city and let us reclaim our lives. We must fix our homeless crisis. We need engagement, rehabilitation, and constant enforcement, and we need it now. It's from a Democrat. Probably voted Democrat for how long? Probably 43 years. Did he say constant enforcement? Is he on the law enforcement bandwagon? Not the defunding, but the funding? Does he fall to that side? We need engagement, rehabilitation. We need to get some of these folks into rehab. We're saying that out loud. And constant enforcement. That sounds like a military state, Bill. I don't know. I'm smoking a little of that doobie from wherever? Don't really know. And we need it now. Yeah, this is just a guy who's, his hometown has been overrun by homelessness, just like a lot of these West Coast cities have, right? And East Coast, right? I mean, some of the stuff going on out there, you're like, oh, that is not good. And we know it. We cover it here. But I just got through, I don't know how many different cities I've covered, but a lot. And kind of the individual takes of what each city is doing to combat its homelessness issue. And, I talked about Tacoma the other day. They're in the process of maybe outlawing homeless people living within 100 feet of the sanctioned shelters. So you've just got all this different stuff that people are trying to do. And ultimately they don't want to deal with engagement of the homeless population. They want to just kind of move them around a little bit. They don't want to deal with rehabilitation like Bill has talked about here. Rehab. Now we need to give these people the choice to run their own lives. I mean, we can't stick them in rehab. Well, we can't stick them in rehab, but that's where they should be. That's where the vast majority of these folks that are either mental or on drugs, because you talk to anybody, you watch any amount of video in homeless encampments, what do they say? They say we're all on drugs. I mean, you look around, it doesn't take a genius to look around a homeless encampment and go, all right, these people aren't just down on their luck. They have some major, major issues in their lives that they probably got from bad childhoods and all kinds of other stuff. And the way that they're designed as human beings, they turn to drugs, or, maybe they should be on drugs. I had a comment this morning in one of the premiere I was watching, and I think it was on San Francisco. Yeah, it was on San Francisco and the whole tourism thing just going down the toilet, because you can't bring international tourists to San Francisco and expect them to have a great experience, not unlike what Bill Walton is talking here. And so tourism, international tourism, specifically Chinese tourism to San Francisco, is less than half of what it used to be. So all those tourism dollars and all the tax dollars and the tax base, it is shrinking. And you're going to see that in these cities that, Portland, same thing. You got hotels being foreclosed on. Granted, it's not a ton, but this is on top of businesses already exiting, already saying, yeah, not so much. Downtown Seattle, Amazon saying, not near the Blade. No, we're not going to do that. No, not so much. You got some elements there that make our employees feel not so comfortable. So yeah, you got a, major figure. And is this newsworthy? Not really, but I like Bill Walton. And this is my podcast, so this is what we're doing. A report in July indicated a record high 475 deaths of people considered to be homeless in San Diego in 2022. A lot of folks want to say, hey, just let them be, let them live forever. They're just doing their own thing. All right. And when you start to look at the stats, one of the stats that always caught my eye down in Portland was that nearly half of the pedestrian deaths are homeless people. They're crazy. They're not paying attention. They're on drugs, get hit by a car. That's not how you're supposed to go out. Shortly after the report, Mayor Gloria was caught on video ignoring dozens of homeless people while giving a speech to kick off Comic-Con and open a small new women's shelter. These politicians, they just kind of do whatever the F they want. And, we need to go out and do a little PR, but don't talk to the natives. They could kill you. They might chase you on your bike, even if you're 6'11" and, you got red hair and, you're pretty much world famous. They might chase you. We got a couple of videos of that. I'm not going to show it. It's just basically the mayor booking it out of there. He gets in his truck and he's out of there. There was no press contact there. Just didn't have that Jean-Pierre or whatever, Peter Ducey exchange, just boom, out of there. So you got Bill Walton just, basically saying, hey, enough is enough. We need to do something here. And the fact that he's like, we need constant enforcement. Like, okay. But at one point in time, you probably literally said, let them be. They're not hurting anybody, because that's how we got here. We got here with an attitude towards the homeless, which was, it's okay. They're not going to really hurt it. What could possibly go wrong here? Well, they might chase you on your bike, Bill. They might threaten you. And if they catch you, if you're not riding your bike fast enough, if they catch you, they might assault you. Because that's what the homeless population does now. This isn't the homeless population of yesteryear, is it? Fentanyl and all these drugs and meth, it's changed that wildly. These folks that are in your downtown areas, in your parks, even like in your suburbs in Portland, how many stories have I covered where just something crazy is going on? Something in crazy town is happening. I mean, it gives me podcast. I jokingly say it gives me podcasts for days, and my content will never be limited. I don't think, in the near future. So, job security for me. But the flip side to that is I want people to be able to take their children to their hometown park and then enjoy it, especially in an environment like San Diego. You got beautiful sunny days. How many days of the year? 300 something? It's San Diego. Beautiful there. Got the ocean. Except do you have the needles on the beach? Just covered that with, I think it was Santa Monica. Yeah. They're trying to, scooch the homeless out of the park system there because somebody's stepping on a hypodermic needle in their park playing volleyball. Just a little steppy on the hypo, right? I mean, this is a constant ongoing battle. And now it's just kind of getting to that point where people are like, you know what? This is no longer reasonable. This is a travesty. We need to do something about it. And when you really break down what Bill Walton said, he's absolutely right. It's just really interesting that it's taken some folks this long to kind of get there. It takes some folks to be chased around on their bicycle at age 69 to realize, oh, yeah, maybe this really is a problem. And maybe we really need to do something. Maybe we need to reimagine and rethink our policies towards just letting the homeless live willy-nilly wherever they like, because maybe, just maybe, that's not how people are meant to live, right? Got to figure that one out. And I think, people with mental issues, people with substance abuse issues, that's where you start. Other folks that belong in jail, you got to put them there. There's your trifecta for starting to get this bad boy going. The whole homelessness thing after that, I believe, will start to sort itself out. Yep, some people deserve housing. They're the ones that make it go. Yep, I want to get into treatment. I want to be a better human being. That's kind of how I see it. But until you get to that point, and San Diego mayor is probably nowhere close to that, actually addressing these issues, it's going to push people around, and expect to see more famous people calling out their hometown mayor saying, hey, wait a minute, this isn't the experience I signed up for. This is my hometown. What's the dealio? You can see more of that, and I will cover that for you right here on News for Reasonable People. Thanks for being here today. I'll catch up with you soon. Bye for now. Sorry about the microphone. Yeah. Technology, just not what it used to be, right? Bye.